All right, question 26. Let x and y be numbers such that negative y is less than x less than y. Which of the following must be true? Okay, so I have these three statements. And then it's a Roman numeral question. Okay, and the question says which one must be true. So, for this one, if the question says which one must be true, what we can do is we can try to prove it wrong. Okay, we can try to find a counter example, right? If we can find one scenario where the answer is not true, then we can eliminate the whole answer choices. All right, so you can try to prove it wrong. That's what we're trying to do. And also for Roman numeral question, you can always try to eliminate wrong answer choices as we go. And if you look at this one, you see all the answer choices actually have statement one in them. Okay, so that's for this question, we know one have to be correct, okay, because it's in all the answer choices. All right, so we pretty much just have to check statement 2 and 3. Okay, so when you take a test, always we have Roman numeral question, always look at that, right? Things like this can save us a little bit of time here. Okay, so what we can say is this: for this type of question, it's best to use some actual numbers, right? Plug in some numbers and do like a trial run. Okay, to pick some number that works here. So you have negative y is less than x is less than y. Okay, so first of all, we know they can be equal to each other, right? So they're not all gonna be 0. So we don't have 0, 0, 0, right? That's not possible because it's not equal to. So negative 1 had to be less than x and is less than y. All right, but what we could have is, x could be 0, right? They didn't say x cannot be 0. So if x is 0, then we have like a y and a negative 1 on the left, right? These two numbers have to be opposite. So let's just say if y is like 2 and negative y, then will be negative 2. Okay, that could work, right? Nothing wrong with that. So then if you look at statement 1 real quick, it says the absolute value of x should be less than y. And that's true. So no matter what this middle number is, right? If that's 0, you see using our example, actual value of 0 is less than 2. Okay, if x gets bigger, if x is like, 5, right, then y have to be bigger than that, right? So I have to change up the y value, right? So in order for that, the inequality to work. So no matter what x is, y here should be always bigger. Okay, we can pick 7, negative 7, for example, right? So then, so if you take the absolute value of x, no matter if it's positive or negative, it should be always less than y. Okay, so that's why statement 1 is good. Well, so statement 2 says x is greater than 0. Well, back to the first example that we picked, right? We pick what, negative 2, 0, and 2, right? This works. And see how x could be equal to 0, right? So it's not always greater than 0. Okay, so it's not must true, right? It's not must be true. So x could even be negative. Okay, so there's nothing limiting the x value. So statement 2 is wrong. Okay, because we can find one example where statement 2 is not true. We can eliminate the whole thing. Okay, so anything with statement 2 in them, in the answer choices, we can also eliminate that. Okay, so now we're down to A or C. So if you take a look at statement 3, y have to be greater than 0. So y had to be positive. Well, that always have to be true. Well, yes, because if y is a negative, then you see how if y is negative, so this is negative 1. All right, then x had to be smaller than negative 1, right? We could do negative 2. That's not a problem. But you see this here will have a problem because on the left side here had to be negative y. So this is negative 1. You see how this will have to be a positive 1, right? Okay, this had to be a positive 1. So this won't work because positive 1 will not be less than negative 1. So the inequality won't work. Okay, so y have to be positive. It cannot be negative number. And we said earlier it won't be able to equal to 0. That won't work. Okay, so yeah, so y will have to be positive. So we know statement 3 will always be true. Okay, So that should be our answer. So 1 and 3 only, letter C here for this question.